One of British Columbia's iconic ecosystems is an old-growth forest. In my career as a forest ecologist, much of my research and writing revolved around characterizing old-growth forests and second-growth forests and looking at differences between them in terms of structure, function, and composition, and what that means. And it's clear to me that the old-growth forests are different compositionally, structurally, and functionally than the second-growth forests. And that's important in terms of ecosystems, in terms of habitat. It's also important, I think, to the people of British Columbia who value their old-growth forests for recreation, for spiritual needs, and also simply for their existence. A report published in 2020 established that there's less than 3% of our province that is actually covered with productive old-growth forests. That is, the sorts of forests that can grow a big tree. Those have been quite heavily logged, and the rates of logging of old-growth forests didn't change when we moved from the Liberal government to the current New Democratic Party government. On Vancouver Island, that means, for example, that about 10,000 hectares of old-growth forest continues to be logged every year. However, last year, the New Democratic Party government, in a bold step, commissioned an old-growth panel, and that panel produced their report earlier this year, and it's an excellent report containing recommendations that, if implemented, would put us on a much more responsible long-term course for management of our old-growth forests here in British Columbia. The immediate response of the New Democratic Party government to the report has been underwhelming. They put a 2-year moratorium on 353,000 hectares of forest in British Columbia. That's 2 years in which they won't log that forest. But only a very, very small portion of that forest is actually old-growth forest scheduled to be logged. About half of it is forest that was never scheduled to be logged. It's outside the timber harvesting land base. It's inaccessible. And a good chunk of it is forest that's already been logged, and so not old-growth forests. So the government has in its hands an excellent report they've commissioned, and I think it's the responsibility of the Green Party and others to work with the government to make sure those recommendations are implemented for the future of the people of British Columbia.